Time to put the engine back, or put it somewhere. Figure might as well give it back to the give the Daytona motor over here and see if the Daytona wants a motor. Fastest install I've ever had. Well, now that we have the engine dolly empty, we will be putting said new pretty engine right there. Probably next week. I spoke with my engine builder, machinist, and the built 360 for the actual ramcharger is about done. He's buttoning that up, so maybe one of these next weekends we will pull that guy in and put its new motor in and all that kind of fun stuff. So that's the other part of making things move around in here, so we have room in the shop so that we can move things in and out, so we're not just on one thing. CUDA's on her wheels, so we can now roll it back. Go to start getting in the cab, finishing out, pulling out the wiring and stuff from it, getting the old computer and things out of it, so we can start moving a little on the forward side of putting the new motor, or putting the new wiring for the new motor in. That will be all for it. And I think today we're going to be doing some button-ups on Mr. Sweppy Charger here. I think we're going to take the grill actually off, finish buffing it out as best as it can be. Maybe get the bumper bolted on with actual chrome bumpers and things instead of just some bolts just tagging it on. And there's some little nicks and bangs that have happened to it in the assembly. I want to just touch up with some paint before we put on some trim and some other things. So I want to get those finished. I'm actually waiting on putting the windshield in until I paint the rear view mirror bracket that needs to match the headliner color. It's a hell of a job to try to put it in after the windshield, so I'll paint that. So maybe we'll get the windshield put in and finish up the dash and get some things finished on the dash with it and button that up so that that's all finished up. Get this girl closer to driving every day. But that is that. Oh, and then this morning we had a situation come in, and I had to come in and manually come over to my thermostat. I had to manually come over to my thermostat, turn up the temperature, because my Wi-Fi router that takes power from the house or power and feeds it out here, so that the boob tube and my controls I could turn on early wasn't working. So I had to physically come out in the cold weather, come out in my insulated shop, turn on all the lights, and turn on the heat physically. And then as I do that, my new bay lights, LED, every one of these has gone out. That's the last one I haven't changed, and it's starting to go out. Don't know if you can see in the camera. It sits there and flashes. Made me think this has got to be how the earlier settlers in the 1800s felt when they went out to their blacksmith shop and had to make horseshoes. He had to fight in the cold, go out in the shop, light the fire, make horseshoes. That's what I had to do this morning. Had to put my phone down, had to come out in the shop, had to physically turn up the thermostat, and then I've got a flickering light like I'm working by candlelight over there. Actually, no, I'm a spoiled little bitch who has an awesome shop, and I'm very grateful for all of it. But I will say, when shopping for those bay lights, these were warranty, lifetime warranty, blah, blah, blah. I have had to replace every single one of them, and the company I bought them from is no longer in business, out of business. I put a different style in, and I've had 2 of those go out. I am so unhappy with those round hanging bay lights. I am going to get down and change one of those because that's my little paint booth bay, so I'm going to move you over there so I can touch up some things on it. But I'm not going to work under a flashing light all day. At least that one's just kind of flickering. It is kind of hard to see in the camera, but trust me, it messes with you. Some of these would flicker so hard it was like you're working under a strobe light. You just can't buy quality crap anymore. Everything's just throwaway. It's very upsetting. Well, let's play car shuffle, move shit around, and see where we get. So when it comes to the touch-up paint, we just slap some quick paint on this fender running through the battery box. So we're going to mask this off, pop that off, and basically repaint the top edge of this fender so that the battery box is the same color as that. Probably going to fix a couple of these little runs right here, take the grill off. These get painted black, and I'll just touch up this whole face in it while I'm doing that. So that kind of ties all that in. That'll get that looking really nice. We had a nice little gouge in our fender, so I sanded that down on the door jamb, so we'll repaint that door jamb, so that'll blend out nice. But something I wanted to show, there were some goobers that fell in this back when it was painted, and I was talking about single stage metallics, how the metallics will puddle and look high, you know, sit high. If you look at this and hi. I wet sanded this down, got rid of the little clumps that were in here, and I was talking about how it's almost impossible to wet sand and buff out a run or clumps. If you look through here, these are where those are. Those are totally smooth. If I was to buff that out, take some water here, and I wipe this down to where it'd be buffed, you see how it's really dark and you see it really bad? If you buff it, that's what it's going to look like. You'll always see them. The pearls puddle when you have single stage. So the metallics and pearls will actually sit when they make a puddle or a run, they all pile together. So once they dry and you sand it down, the bump is gone. But the metallics have made it a darker color, so you'll always see it. So every time I come up here and I push the button and I open my lid, I'm going to see that, and that's going to bother me. So I'm going to mask an edge off and paint this bottom edge of this door to get rid of this little spot, because, well, that's not going to buff out. And that's the problem with single stage. But here's the upside of single stage. You can literally spray just this spot and buff out your edge and almost never see it. You normally want to get your edge to another edge of paint or a body line edge so that you can make it disappear, which is what I'm going to do to this. I'm going to be going down to this second line and up to the paint line up in there, probably right off of this, but and then I'll blend it out into over here so that you won't see it. But that is the ups and downs with single stage. The upside is it's actually easy to touch up, and it's inexpensive paint, and you don't have to worry about clear coats and that kind of deal. But I wanted to show that's, if you buffed it out, that's as good as it's going to look. So unfortunately, clumps of dirt and runs in single stage metallics, heavy metallics, you can't really touch it up. It's a one and done. So you do want to make sure you paint it right the first time. So let's get that cleaned out, bunch of little touch-ups and masking, and hey, don't drink the water. Don't drink the water. Are you helping? Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't drink the water. All right, go lay down. Now, feels like going backwards. We're back in the paint booth. Prepping some wheels. These are my new clean wheels. So, the new wheels in a box actually had, let me set this down, actually had a stamp right in through here of a model number, and it was a really deep, kind of like this, but it was like 15 letters long all along this inner bead. So we sanded that down and put a little filler in it, and then we put some primer on it so I can block that out, because this is where that little red pinstripe's got to go. But we got the new wheels to paint the cream and red, which I had a nice compliment the other day. Someone came out and saw this that's only been seeing it on the UB-Tubi, and he went, you know, I really didn't like the wheels on the camera, but he really likes the rims in person. He says they look really nice. So I appreciate that little comment, because I absolutely love how these look. Maybe they don't look as good on camera to the color of the vehicle when it's outside, but I think they look really good. What the hell did I just step on? But so the back rims were bent bad, so we're going to repaint those. We've got some miscellaneous-y things everywhere that need to be painted. Let's get our grill out of the booth area. Where you going? Oh, did you take what I stepped on? What's these guys working on? Looks like a older Chevy cab, Ford cab, 50 something. Well, modern motor. I like the overflow bottle. Anyways, those guys are my entertainment for the day. I'll set that right there. Back over there. Woo, dizzy. Sanding the door panels, if you look, they have a cool texture to where they're almost like vinyl, you know, grainy look. So I don't want to sand and get rid of those. Plus you have this. If I really wanted to, I could put them in a soda blaster and soda blast them. I got to get all the rust cleaned off the back. Kind of lightly hit it with some 220, just trying to surface hit that. But I think what we're going to do is take a wire wheel on a drill type of situation. I don't think something like this on a death wheel, that might be a little too aggressive. I think that's going to get a little crazy. So we're going to, what's up?
Right under the car.
Right under the car. Oh, it's Dead Dodge Garage. It's Dead Dodge Garage without Jamie. Got to be honest, I like Jamie in my Dead Dodge Garage. But I think we're going to go with a cup wheel and a little wire brush on a drill and hit that and see what that does. And let's try the bigger one and see how that gets in it. And it seems to be doing the trick nicely. I think that'll keep it looking nice, and then when I go to paint it, all the little textures and everything will come out looking just fine. So let's go to town. Pull the mast off for that fender. Door panels are prepped and cleaned and ready for gold. Wheels have been red and re-pinstriped for cream. Cream up there. And door mast that. Got that little jam area prepped out. And a couple random things here. We're going to do the visors. A little two-tone mix there. And then touch up that little spot there. Throw some color on it. Got the front cowl looking a little better. Got just that top edge when you open the hood, you see that. I blacked out the radiator, and behind the grill, our battery box and fender is absolutely fine. When you open the hood, it'll look just like what it's supposed to. Our gouge that was right down in there, totally gone. We have a little bit of a line right there, but honestly, if it would probably buff out or wash out once we wash and clean it. The door jamb in here is even cleaner. You can't even see, well, must be some tape. That same with that line to that body line, but that's down and out. Our little scuffy there's blended out, shiny and clean. We did a little two-tone on the visor, so it has a little brown in that center bump out. Our steering wheel cover, we're going to have that lower piece is going to wrap and seal around the bottom part of the steering shaft, and then those are done. I have a little bit of touch-ups and some cleanup to do where it bled through the tape right there, which is kind of a bummer, but I can clean that up. So cool. Once all this dries, we could throw the windshield in it. And heck, at that point, you can throw the windshield in it and park it outside in a rainstorm, and it's weather-proofed. So this wheel's got 2 coats of the cream with the red pinstripe underneath. The door panels, I painted cream just so I could get a panel of cream on it before I do the gold. And a couple little pieces of black stuff over there. Stuff up here. That's that. Paint it, let it demask. Cool. While that dries, got the gold on there looking all pretty. It's a little thick, and I did lose some of the texture that I was trying to keep in the panel, but I'm also trying to decide I may or may not add a red pinstripe inside that. When we see the seats, I think you'll understand that might pull it together. It might look tacky, so I might just put some vinyl pinstripes in it just to see how it looks. While we're playing, while that's drying, now we're over here trying to figure out some steering geometry. So we've got our steering knuckle. Focus. We just added a steering knuckle to the steering column. This still has a little bit of an adjustment for a slide back and forth, but I'm going to put it, focus, as far up that way. That way I can kind of angle this over here. This little curvature that we have going on right here, I'm looking to get it right here so that from this point we can angle back and get the steering column. Once we're underneath and get this jacked up, we can be able to see it a little bit better. So let's push the magic button on the lift, see what it looks like underneath, and kind of go from there. Yay! Okay, so there's Mr. Steering Knuckle. There's Mr. Steering Rack, or Mrs. I mean, depends on how you look. I guess that's more of a Mr. I didn't ask its identification. We have a gappy here for that to work. So I'm thinking knuckle right off of that, up over here, see where that's going to go. And in there, we still have room for the exhaust and the heat shield for the starter. Back to, factory manifolds versus headers. Maybe this is easier with headers, but back to the original statement, I'm not a fan of headers. So let's see if I can make this fit to there, and something over there. I can definitely make it work. It's going to go about there, joint there. Here, I'm going to have to put some sort of carrier bearing or something to support it. But from where that is to that, that's not a dead straight line. So I'm literally going to have a third joint out right here so that I can make that transition. And I want very soft angles so that it's still a smooth motion. So I'll need to order me a joint. So that's as far as I'm going to get on that guy. Here's my cross member all painted there. So that's nice and tight up. I still have room curved in here for my exhaust and stuff to come through. So should be fine. What else can I do on this? Well, I have been buffing on this thing for about 2.5 hours, and it's far from perfect. There's some definite staining, a little bit of dinks and things that are in it. But this thing is definitely a driver, and a driver by wash it every few weeks, drive it every day. So a little road grime on this is going to look just fine. But for a 1970 Grille that's been on the road pretty much its entire life, you never find these stainless grills in this good a condition. So I'm happy with it. I'm going to mask this top edge off and just dust a little black rattle can on that top, just so when it's bolted on it'll be good. And throw the inserts in it, throw the lights in it, go from there. Haha! How about a little tremors while we're buffing? Modern day perfect cinema. Well, let's mask this off, throw a little black paint on it, and I think the Sweppy Charger can get her grill tomorrow. I threw a little red pinstripe around on the visors. I think that's going to look very awesome. I did take one of the panels and threw some red pinstripes on the panel. I do find it kind of funny how the red almost looks bright red on the gold. I'm not sure if I'm going to rock that yet. The interior seats, I'm not going to give away. I mean, the interior seats has a little bit of a plaid pattern to them, which looks really cool, but I don't know if that's going to stay, so I'm going to leave this one panel for right now. Leave that one off. I'm either going to be removing these stripes and doing something different, or adding these stripes to those once I have the seats and everything to put them in to figure some of that stuff out. But those are them. Back to playing a little bit of a car shuffle. I've got the windshield. I want to try to throw the glass in the car. I'm going to throw the grill in. So we're going to move that over here back into this bay and get it under the heat. Throw the grill in it, throw the windshield in it, and that might be just for the day. Then I'll go back to playing on the CUDA a little bit and pulling some parts and things off of that. You okay up there? Let's get you moved, huh, girl? We got ourselves some chrome bolts, a grill with no broken plastic, a radiator support with no runs that color matches nice in there, battery box that the fender matches and blends in nicely. Oh, hood latch is bolted in. Good slam of the hood. Bam! I don't hate it. Let's see if we can get some glass in it. Windshield time! Swepline or 60s Dodge windshields are a little bit of a bitch. The gaskets seem like they're always too big. One of the first times I did this, I went to order different ones or even called them and complained that the gasket is so big it doesn't even fit. You have to put the bottom in, soak the heck out of this, get a rag up here, blankets up here, put the windshield up on it, kind of lift it up and sit at the bottom and kind of work your bottom corner. Get one corner to go and start down here, go all the way around, get your other corner, and then you just start working it around and then go the other side, work it around, and amazing, the gasket will just like plop into shape and will fit. One of the reasons we're to this point is I had to put those two screws in for the rear view mirror, and you can do it with the windshield in, but to be honest, it's way easier without. So we're waiting to paint that so that will tie into the headliner, and that'll be fitted in there. So that's good. So now I will go grab some blankies or something. This is also a lot easier with minimally 2 people. 3 people's nice, 1 on each side, 1 person on the inside. But I'm going to do it by myself like I do everything, and we will see how this goes. One thing to saving me, I do have some suction cups that helps to work with the glass. I like to take popsicle sticks and kind of stick them on both sides of the seal. So as I put the glass in, it kind of acts like a little V and helps fit it down. You got to start it at the bottom and then like pitch up to start working it in. My blankets and rags moved, and I put a nice little gouge right there. So I get a little touch up when we're done. So happy about that. Looks like I also, when it tipped up in on this side, put a little tiny rub mark right there. So, yep, life of life. But you can see even the seal still sagging down way hard in the middle. You got to get this bottom corner on both sides in, and then start working the top corner, and then kind of go back and forth. So I've got that corner in. passenger side corner. I just soaped this really good. I'm going to start taking my suction cup and wiggling and pulling down, and I'm going to work this corner and start working my way up and get up through here and get to that piece of tape and then back and forth. So once you get the seal all the way around, you wiggle, jiggle, and fight it, and then the rope part that goes inside here will widen all this up. Like right now I've got a little bit of a gap here. I still leave like popsicles in these corners, trying to support the corners. They make a tool that's like a circle that goes in there, that this goes around, that you can pull, and it pushes it into this rope seal. I probably should buy one at some point since I've done a few of these windshields. And my white truck right now got 4 rock chips in it last year, and 2 of the rock chips grew and split the windshield, so I'm gonna have to fix that. But what I do is I take a screwdriver and I lightly separate in here without gouging up into the glass a little bit. You kind of get in behind and you just kind of open this up and slide this along. And then I actually take a, well, it's not metal, but I take and I just whack this along, and you can see it just kind of pops its way in. You got to make sure you're good and soapy. And see how it pushes the soap out and it swells that up and it starts working that. And I'll do that all the way around and then trim that off, and that is the glass. So she's got all the glass in it within a few minutes. Well, I just screwed myself. I got right there. I've been fighting it. I got to be honest, when I got around that corner, I was fighting putting this rope seal in. Got right to here, was twisting and pushing, and the glass cracked right there. So, screw my life. That windshield's garbage. A couple $100 for glass, plus shipping. Yay! So, took everything I had not to punch the windshield in the middle of it. So I'm going to end right there. I'm very happy with the front end. Very upset about that. But with all life, stuff happens. So, that's all.